It's time to rock and roll! Okay, that'll do it too. Hello,
Thank
everyone. Good
you.
morning,
Oop.
or good night. We're recording at night, but you will
hmm
see this in the morning on a beautiful, I hope, Monday morning. If it's not beautiful, that's okay too, because life is full of possibilities and surprises here and everywhere on the Waffle Press Movie Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Gina Versa.
Hey, how you doing? First podcast of the year. Very
First
excited.
podcast of the year. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. We
Yep,
we guested on a podcast together before we came back to do this episode for
that's
our own
right.
podcast. So go check out from the top where we talked about Peter Jackson's film debut Bad Taste with our friend Kale. So go check that out. We're gonna bring Kale back on this year. If
hmm
you listen to the podcast, you know Kale. He'll be back, and we had a lot of fun talking about that. But today, this is a little more. I won't say this is a somber episode. This is a celebration of David Lynch's life, and so we're gonna just take time to appreciate all he did for cinema, his filmography, and here to do that with us today is the incredible, the much delayed return of fan favorite Matt Curione. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Doing great. Not as good as you and Gene, who finally got to meet
hmm
up in person.
That's right.
Wild
And
occurrence.
yeah,
Wild.
in New York,
I got
Times
home so
Square.
late.
Sorry.
Turns out I can still hang.
Yeah, we went to Nintendo store, the AMC Lincoln Square, which has a big ass IMAX screen,
Huge.
huge.
Jesus.
It was really great. I've never been there before, so I've never been to New York, but yeah, we finally got a hang. But yeah, what time did you get home? I'm so
I got home
sorry.
around 2:30, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Totally worth it though. Had fun.
hmm Yeah, it
No,
was good.
I appreciated Matt keeping me up to date, like you were saying, like, oh, I took this picture last night and I kept stopping. So you I guess you asked Gene, like, is this what it's like walking with Diego? And I was
I
like,
said,
well,
yeah.
a little.
So he was
Apologies.
like he was faster though.
Okay. Well, he's taller, I'm
Yeah.
assuming,
hmm
right,
I'm
Matt?
not tall.
Well, I think you're taller than
We're
me,
like the same
probably.
size, yeah.
I'm 5'7".
Okay. Well, okay. You are taller than me, but like the next
Lies.
step. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Lies. You're like
Yeah.
9 feet tall.
No, I just feel 9 feet tall when I'm here talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Um, or when we're here to talk about David Lynch stuff. Before we get into
hmm
that, Matt, what's
Ah.
going on? What have you been up to? What have you been watching lately? We always open up our shows with what we're watching.
Well, with Lynch's passing, my husband and I have finally started Twin Peaks, and it's my third time through and his first. So it's been a lot of fun. He has a lot of questions. I've basically been levitating. It's been so much fun.
Okay.
Other than that, I've just been I recently got a whole bunch of Tarantino 4Ks, so I've been blasting through those, and oh boy, what a treat.
Nice.
Do you have a
Well,
favorite Tarantino 4K or just Tarantino in general? I don't actually know this about you. Your favorite Tarantino?
My favorite Tarantino is Kill Bill
Okay,
as
cool,
a whole.
nice.
hmm
Uh, but out of the 4Ks I've seen, I mean, Pulp Fiction is next level stunning. They
Yeah.
did such a good job with that thing. And the Kill Bills look great. They look like film prints. There's like a great amount of grain on both of them, and they really pop.
Oh, that's good. I like that they keep the grain.
It's nice. It's a nice
No
Confused.
touch.
grain.
I'm
No
confused
grain.
when people try to scrub the grain away. I'm not. We don't need to get into it, but I'm not a fan of when certain artists go back and are like, "No, this is a mistake. Like, I'm gonna make it perfect."
It's fine.
Like,
They can do what they want.
I, I guess so. Just
It's
sometimes
fine.
I'm like, I don't know. It feels like maybe it's a little whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I definitely have strong feelings about that. Gene, what have you been watching lately?
I just got out of Soderbergh's Presence, which I really enjoyed.
Nice.
It was more of a drama than like a horror movie, which was interesting, but for all like the camera stuff and everything, it was really no, it was really well put together. It's very low budget, but yeah, no, I was enjoying it. So gotta gotta praise that film.
And he's got
Yeah.
another one coming out real soon, right? He's
Diego
got a
knows.
spy
Yeah.
movie with Blanchett and Fassbender. That movie looks awesome.
hmm
I'm gonna have to see that.
I haven't seen anything about it, but I knew he had something coming out. Yeah, it's a great
They
mode for
they
him.
keep showing the trailer whenever you something at AM,
Yeah.
and uh, every time you hear the audience go, "That looks good." I'm
That's
like, all right, yeah, yeah, it does.
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I've been also rewatching David Lynch. So I think I rewatched Firewalk with Me and Eraserhead and this documentary. And then
Oh,
I'm trying to get through Dune, which is kind of hard to get through.
that's a fun movie. That's a
uh
fun
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
I
trying to
do
get through it.
love his Dune.
It's a big old mess, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's like that's one of those movies you do have to add qualifiers to, where it's like, look, you just
Yeah,
have to approach this as like
yeah,
a very flawed, like further reading of this
yes,
very talented artist. It's his the keep, you know, where it's like, does this work on a movie
yeah.
level? I don't know, but I do
Yeah, I don't
like
know,
it, you
but
know.
it's pretty neat.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, look at this. We have this great artifact from when it's like, oh, this was another trajectory they could have gone. Here's
Oh,
why it
yeah,
didn't work, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
David Lynch with money. It's a scary thing.
It is, but you know what? It's a good fucking looking movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I wish more big budget stuff looked that bizarre and
Hmm.
colorful. Um, that man knew how to spend it, you know? Especially with his low budget stuff, because it's like I don't know like how he planned this stuff out, how his like I'm aware of like his fascination with transcendental meditation
Hmm.
and I think all of his fans are like about how he approached the art. It's just like it's still so hard for my brain to piece together like that strange beautiful man, that
Hmm.
incredible artist is also the guy who could mount like pretty hefty productions even with low
Yeah,
budgets.
yeah.
And um it's just a lot to think about. So I guess
It's
we
impressive.
could we could just dive into like what was the first David Lynch movie we remember watching. Matt, you're the guest. I want to hear from you first.
I believe it was in high school in a humanities course. The teacher showed us The Elephant Man, and I fell in love with that beautiful, beautiful film. And I think I was the only one in the class who was actually really into it. Everyone else
Hmm.
was, scribbling in their notebooks. We didn't have phones back then that you could scroll, but everyone was scribbling in their notebooks and not really paying attention. And I'm just there with my head in my hand, just watching the TV, and it was great. It was one of those TVs that they just rolled into the room. It was,
Oh, I miss those.
yeah, it was good times. It was good. Yeah, and that's how I fell in love. And then a couple years later, I caught a couple of other of his films.
Nice. Gene, how about you?
I think it was Eraserhead. Probably watched when I was
Yeah.
yeah younger. Aired on the IFC channel, so they had some interesting films on there. But I remember both enjoying and not getting Eraserhead at the same time. But I think I enjoyed it more than I was confused. So
Yeah, I think I mean I was talking to you before we started recording. Like I just rewatched Inland Empire and I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like I'm not, that wasn't a
yeah, sure,
joke. That was
yeah,
That's a
a very
movie. That's a movie where you're like, "Oh, I get it," and then 5 minutes later, an idea pops in your head. You're like, "No, I don't. I don't get this."
yeah,
That happens with all of his movies, where it's like, "Oh no, I get it now." 2 minutes go by. No, I don't. What? What?
yeah,
yeah. And I think that's the problem with Dune is that the movie has to explain itself too much, and you're
Yeah.
like, no, he doesn't work this way.
No.
That's why it
No.
didn't work so well. But
Yep.
like, you know, yeah, he just that was a really bizarre experience and in a good way. For me, I think it was the Elephant Man actually, because
Hey.
my godparents, they're not like low-key cinephiles, but they watch like the movies people tend to talk about,
Yeah.
throughout the years. And I remember that was one of the ones they brought up, like, oh, that's one of like my godmother's favorite movies. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's like a drama. And then as I got older and I saw it, I was like, what the fuck, like that. That's one of her favorite movies. Like it's
Yeah.
a great movie, and
It's
it is like
beautiful.
beautiful movie. It's a deeply moving film, and probably one of the more accessible films, obviously, that he
Yes.
made.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Probably his
but
most accessible. Well,
yeah,
that and the straight story.
yeah,
Yeah.
those two,
Straight
those are the
story.
two you could
Yeah.
show to normal people. The Straight Story was the last David Lynch movie I discovered. That was the at the very
Okay.
end, and in some ways that felt like kind of fitting. It was like, oh
What a
no,
nice way to end.
Hmm.
yeah, it was just like that was like 2020, I think, when it
Okay.
finally hit like Disney Plus, because that wasn't available for a while.
I still have a really old Disney DVD
Oh,
that I hold on to and I cherish.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
just really weird to see Walt Disney Pictures presents a David Lynch film. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Before they locked it in the Disney Vault.
Yup.
Yeah. Well, what a strange, bizarre world.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Lynch with a Disney movie. Isn't that fun? Isn't that weird?
It
That
is
alone
pretty
is
weird.
weird.
It's weird.
But then you see the movie and you're like, no, this is like, it's not weird. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just life affirming. Like, oh, I love that movie.
Me too.
yeah, I saw someone watching it for the first time on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh man, I really hope like Harry Dean Stanton's a brother." And then they were like, "Holy shit!" Like, oh yeah, that's great.
Hmm. Love it.
Yeah, and in some ways, like if that's like when you're looking at Lynch's filmography for the first time, you're just getting into him. That might feel that and the Elephant Man might feel like outliers almost, but
Yeah.
then you get to watch his stuff, and it's like no, like his all of his stuff is very sincere
Hmm.
and sad and beautiful, like all in one,
Yeah.
some end more dour than others, or something like Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which is just like fucking
Devastating.
evisceratingly
Yeah.
sad. It
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
has like a sense of euphoria by the finale. Like if that was
Hmm.
truly the end of Twin Peaks, like it was for 26,
So many years. Yeah.
27 years, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, Laura Palmer ends happily in the afterlife. Like she can rest now. She's
Yeah.
at peace. Like it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful sentiment, and I think that's like what gives his films like a certain staying power, in my opinion. Like there is some like ethos emotionally that everyone can understand, even if they're like, I don't know what that little man was dancing about in the corner,
Hmm.
He's just
but
happy.
He's just
yeah,
happy. Yeah. He's happy.
sure. But I also cried.
Like Leland
So
sings. Come on, get
Hmm.
happy.
yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you guys think makes these all so special, or any ideas about how they relate to each other, his films?
Hmm. I might
You want
let
to go
Matt go
first?
first. Yeah, I'm gonna let
Okay.
Matt.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, how do they all relate to each other?
Yeah, like or just what makes them special, maybe there's no like one thing that connects them all besides Lynch, but like I think I think there's something that makes them all special
I
in
think it's the
their own ways.
earnestness. I think it's the earnestness, the belief that things are okay in the end. Maybe. But no, I think it's the earnestness, it's the performances. He is able to get astounding performances out of these performers, and you can especially tell when someone like a Kyle MacLachlan or a Laura Dern truly clicks with Lynch's mindset. And you can see that they're ready to just go for it. And that's what I appreciate most about his movies. And I mean, if you're looking at like a connective tissue between everything he's done, it's probably Twin Peaks. I mean, everything leads up to that, everything comes out of that. Like every film he's made has a connection. And it's this really awesome thing that he was able to accomplish over 3 seasons in a movie. It's
Yeah.
it's impressive as hell.
Yeah. That's no, that's well said. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think for me, the connectiveness is just like I don't know, the surrealism and just the way he directs or uses kind of the same actors where it feels like maybe it's all from the same sort of dreamscape, you know? Because it's like I think of not why am I blanking on the movie? The one that came before Mulholland Drive, where Mulholland Drive is just like a giant dream until the end.
Lost
I
Highway.
just got yeah, Last Highway 2. Yeah. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And Matt, I like that you brought up that Twin Peaks kind of as like, that might be, if not just the most unifying thing, also like
Yeah.
the the thing he's going to be most well known for
Oh
overall
yeah.
is
I mean, what I
um
say to people who don't really know Twin Peaks and they like want to know like why it's so important, I'll say that basically Twin Peaks universe is David Lynch's Dark Tower. The way that everything Stephen King does is surrounding the tower. Everything connects to the tower in Stephen King's every novel he's written. And basically, like I said, everything that Lynch has done connects back to those woods in the Pacific
it,
Northwest.
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I that's incredible because I never really, I guess, brought that together in that sense, but I
Ah,
did always tell people that when if you want to get into David Lynch, I do think people should start with the first two seasons of Twin Peaks,
hmm.
then go back, just watch his filmography in order,
Hmm.
all the way up to Fire Walk with Me, and
Yes.
then watch the rest of his filmography. It's only Lost Highway, um, Mulholland Drive, and Inland Empire, and then check out
And
his
Straight
shorts if you
Story.
want. Straight Story, yes. Excuse me, thank you. And then and with Inland Empire, and then do The Return, and then I
Yes.
think that's the whole David Lynch package.
Yes.
There's so much to love and
Ah,
learn through all of
the
that, and
return. Oh,
yeah.
the return.
Was that the last time anyone was happy?
That was a great
Maybe.
summer. Oh man, that was a beautiful summer.
I regret not starting it at the start with everyone else because I was like, I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna watch all the David Lynch stuff again,
Okay.
except for Straight Story because I didn't have access to it. So I was like, I'll
Yeah.
watch it all again, and then I'm
Hmm.
gonna I'm gonna get to the return. And I
Okay.
come in
I
towards the tail end.
I
Hmm.
had friends over every Sunday. It was such a good
Oh
time.
man.
My coworker Lex, she was the only one who came every week. She's like, "We need to watch this. We need to. I'm coming over, right? Yep, yep, yep." And on the first night, I threw like a Twin Peaks party where I had the Welcome Home Leo sign
Oh,
above the
cool.
TV. I
Wow.
made a cherry pie from scratch. I made Jerry's brie and butter sandwiches
Mm.
on the roll from like the second episode. It was so much fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I would make one of those golden shovels now. Like obviously we didn't know about that
Yes.
prior to the return, but
Yeah.
now I'm like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
such a ridiculous little thing in there,
It's
and
awesome.
it's so awesome and it's so ridiculous, and it's also like, yeah, this dude's probably like a crank, He's just trying to like he's trying to
I
just
love him.
I love him too, and that's like the beautiful like duality that all David Lynch stuff has. Like everyone always knows like the the underlying cynicism he has about
Yeah, but he
like
also
the
has a
the
joy.
nuclear family and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, he also genuinely just like loves Americana, like
He
he
loves
finds the
Americana.
beauty
He
in it.
loves he loves casting people that he's a fan of. Like Dr. Jacoby and Benjamin Horn. He
Hmm.
obviously when he was younger, he saw West Side Story and was like, "I'm gonna work with them one day." And he got the two leads from West Side Story to be in Twin Peaks, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean that is incredible. That is something that we
Yeah.
should be
I'm gonna get
championing
them
as
back
often as
together.
possible.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a mentality most artists should have. It's like I just like these people. I
Yeah,
will hire them. Why not?
yeah, they're good
Yeah.
together. I'm gonna make that
Yeah.
happen again.
Yeah, for a man who's basically crafted like several masterpieces, um,
Oh yeah, quite a
the way
few.
he talks about how he made art, there's it's not the John Carpenter thing of like, I don't know, it was a job, but there's a lack of like perfectionism. It's
Yeah,
just like, wow,
it's
these ideas are coming together with
yep.
everyone.
With him, it's all happy accidents. And that's how most of his movies came together. Just finding the right people at the right time and everyone gets along and they're just having a good time and oh wait, this idea? Oh, that? Let's try
Hmm.
that today. Let's see what happens. See how it takes. And I love that about him.
Yeah,
Very
it,
well
it
said.
gives way for like these really beautiful moments that um have permeated culture in a bunch of different ways. So I want to ask you guys, I'll toss it to Gene this time. Do you have a
Hmm.
favorite David Lynch movie moment?
I think it's the in from Mulholland Drive where they the two guys go behind the dumpster and then that homeless person just like scares the shit out of him when the guy just like freaks the fuck out. Something about that's just so scary. And just like unnerving. And I don't know, just my gut reaction always goes to that scene for his movies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really quick, it's terrifying, but it's also like the movie. It's not like that. Those sequences are in the movie continuously, and I think that's what makes it so effective. Because like in a
Mhm.
bubble, someone maybe watches that and it's like, "Well, I don't know, it doesn't seem that scary to me." But then you watch the whole movie and it's fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how he gets you. Matt, what about you? Do you have a favorite Lynch moment?
Uh, Dean Stockwell singing In Dreams. Well, lip
Hmm.
syncing In Dreams in Blue Velvet.
Oh,
I think that is just an astoundingly terrifying but beautiful moment. Like most of his movies I describe as terrifyingly beautiful. Uh, that one especially. It also helps that that's my favorite of his work.
yeah. Valid, valid.
Well, favorite movie.
Yeah.
My favorite thing in the world is Twin Peaks.
Twin
So,
Peaks.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the real like that's a testament to him. Is just everyone's kind of like, no, Twin Peaks. That's probably just like the thing. Like
mhm.
or Gene set up this document to like for us to kind of like just make sure we touch these points about David Lynch, and thankful for that because I don't even know where to begin talking about David Lynch without this basically because I just have so many emotions about him and
Hmm.
um his death greatly affected me. Celebrity deaths don't really do that, but this is a guy
This
who
one hit
basically
hard.
this one
Yeah.
base he changed the way I look at the world through his
Yeah.
art. You
Like
know.
I was having, let's do this question. Where were you when you found out?
I think I was just at my parents' house, and then I just like turned on my phone, and I saw like a photo of him, and then I'm like, oh no, it's in black and white. So I'm like, had to read the caption.
Oof.
So yeah.
Yeah. I was sick for like a week and a half with the flu. So
Oh,
right at the start of me feeling miserable, I am also currently
you felt
unemployed and
extra
looking for
miserable.
work. So I was just not
Oof.
in a great space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was there was obviously a lot of other stuff happening in the world. I'm sure that contributed to that singular feeling, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's like we were all rooting for him to just do a little more if he could, and
Yeah.
he had spoken about how difficult it was for him to move around now because of his smoking and everything. It's just like,
Yeah. He had
everyone
emphysema.
wanted him to come back. Like we were all rooting for it and very sad that it didn't. And, like Gene and I are in LA, and
Hmm.
LA's had a very difficult time, and he
Yeah.
loved Los Angeles. He spoke
Yeah.
so
Loved it.
often about how he loved this city, and this city
Yeah.
loved him.
Hmm.
Bob's Big Boys is
Yeah.
Mm.
they've had a
I went.
shrine building for the last couple
Yeah.
weeks, and
I left a Coke there the other day.
Yeah.
I visited. It was really sweet. There's people like every day there. I'm not sure right now because it's raining, but there's
I
like
bet
people
no, I
literally
bet they
every
are. I
day.
bet they are
Hmm.
there. I sincerely mean that, and I say that
Yeah,
with
people
love.
have umbrellas.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
It's been really nice vigil.
yeah. And then now, I mean, that place will basically just be a shrine to him
Oh yeah.
I hope
forever.
so. Yeah,
You know.
yeah, I would hope so. I was gonna say I think the fires also affected his health that he never recovered. That I was reading
Oh
makes
yeah.
it even
Yeah.
more tragic. Yeah, from the
Uh, as
smoke.
f- as for me, I was out having a great day off when I got home and looked sitting. I just parked my car. I looked down. I got a few notifications, and I saw it came up on the news app. And I look at my phone
Oh,
and go, oh fuck no. And then I proceeded to sit in my car and cry for about 30 minutes. Uh, and of course, the soundtrack to Twin Peaks was staring at me from the center console, so I put that in and it made it worse. Isn't that
mm,
great? You know how you just make things worse for yourself? Yeah, that was great. I'm very happy I did not have work that day because I would have
yeah.
left early. Uh, but yeah, and I was pretty devastated for a couple days there. And now I'm just finding joy in his work. Like I thought that watching his stuff would make me like sad, but it's actually like filled me with joy to be able
Hmm.
to experience his work all over again. I know it's going to get difficult when Gordon Cole shows up and I actually see him
Hmm.
on the screen, but I'm prepared and I think I'll be fine. It'll be comforting more than anything else. I
Yeah,
just need mass quantities of pie.
oh yes, massive, massive
Massive
quantities,
quantities.
and some damn fine cups of coffee, of course.
That's right.
Um, I was not prepared to watch any of this stuff. I was already just like I was bedridden for like a straight week and then just kind of
Yeah.
shaking it off for the last week after that. So I was like everything I was watching, I was like, I'm just trying to make myself happy. I'm watching cartoons and shit, like I'm not
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready to do that. And then I rewatched the Art Life documentary and I remember
It's
really
good.
liking it. It's good.
I
And
watched it over the weekend for the first time.
oh, okay. Yeah, well here, please give your thoughts 'cause
Oh, it
I
was
had seen
fascinating.
them.
It was really cool just watching him paint and talk
Yeah.
about his childhood, and it was like just he was like we keeps coming back to this word, earnest. He was a very earnest guy, and I like his painting techniques. Honestly, I think they're pretty cool. I was watching a little bit of it at work, and I called my buddy over who's an artist, and he's like, "Oh, that is dope as hell. I got to do some of that."
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it. It's really good.
Yeah, like it made me want to like just try painting. Like I don't r really want to try to dedicate too much of that, but I'm like, you know what?
Hmm.
Maybe I'll give that a shot again. Like I did, and I was like, I mean, most
Yeah,
people did when they were like a little kid or something.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, I'll give it another shot, or it it inspired me to like get a little more adventurous with
Mhm.
my own art, be it photography or
Yeah.
narrative writing, creative writing. But watching that documentary again, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't affecting me the way I thought it would, but also I'm not I don't know if I'm responding to it the way I did initially. And then
Yeah.
by the end it like just washed over me and I was like, oh no, it operates like one of his movies, that documentary basically, where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't really understand why this is here. I don't really understand why that's there. And you realize they're slowly building up some
But it works.
feeling. Yeah,
But it works.
it
You
totally
don't know
works.
why it works, but it clicks and it goes. And
Hmm.
that's what I appreciate.
Yeah. And if there was a quintessential David Lynch movie that captured that, in your guys' opinion, um, because I think we mentioned like favorites, and
Hmm.
I will say my favorite, I think it is just Firewalk with me, even though it is like so
Yeah.
devastating.
Hmm.
But is there like a quintessential Lynch movie that's not Twin Peaks, basically?
Right.
I might have an idea, but I think there's so many options. I don't think there's a wrong
Yeah.
choice here. I'm so curious if you guys feel one way or another over this.
For me, it's his quintessential picture is either Blue Velvet or Mulholland Drive. I think those concepts are things that he worked towards his entire career. Uh, Especially Blue Velvet, which I mean, he obviously took what worked in Blue Velvet, the underlying darkness of small town suburbia, and worked it into Twin Peaks, and then he, did it again, the underlying darkness of Hollywood, which he has clearly been, he knew about because he worked in the studios with Mulholland Drive. I mean, he was always about finding the darkness, but also the beauty in things sometimes at the same time, which bless him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would go with Mulholland Drive as well. What you were saying, Matt, and then also watching that documentary. A lot of his seems like a lot of his own sort of life feels like in Mulholland Drive, where he came up in
Yeah.
Midwest suburbia, too. And then he's talking about when he saw like the like a naked woman, which was a scene from Blue Velvet,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
and the opening of Twin Peaks, you know,
Hmm.
Yep.
it's yeah. Um, it's Laura Palmer in plastic, and it's her friend on the bridge. It's
Hmm.
Wrapped in plastic.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Got to give a
I
shout out to Jack Nance, by the
oh
way.
yeah, his one of
Yeah.
his
I've
OGs.
I said this the other day, but he had one of the great movie faces, and I love him so much. I mean, he was a troubled guy. He was a
Hmm.
vicious drunk, from what I've read, and
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper actually tried to get him clean, and it's bad when Dennis Hopper's trying to get you clean.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
but he was a beautiful actor, and I love him whenever he showed up in anything. Big fan of his, obviously in Eraserhead, but I
Hmm.
love him on Twin Peaks. I love Pete Martell. He's just I'm going fishing. See you later. Have fun, you
Hmm.
kooky guys.
I mean, part of the tragedy of Twin Peaks season three having to take so long after the cancellation is
Yeah.
like I really wanted to see him and Audrey go fishing together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because it's such a sweet pairing that's just like so I didn't see it coming when I first saw it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, these people will be hanging out more, and it's like, oh, that's right, the show's over,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then maybe he dies in the explosion, right? Did they ever confirm that?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I know Jack Dance died in the late 90s.
yeah, yeah,
He passed, he was in Lost Highway and he passed before the movie came out.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Really, really sad stuff. Lost Highway, I think, is also getting a lot of play recently. Even before his passing, I just
It's
noticed more people were
good.
talking about it. Yeah, oh, yeah, it's terrific. It does feel like
I
I don't,
consider
I don't bring it up enough, I feel.
I consider Lost Highway to be his most straight up horror film
I can see that.
in the best way. It's a straight up 90s horror film in the best way. It's legitimately terrifying. Like the whole I'm in your house, but I'm right in front of you. No
Hmm.
thanks. No
Yeah.
thanks. Uh,
Yeah.
one of my favorite cinematic depictions of Satan himself is him in that movie. It's God, he's terrifying. And then you have like great performances by like Robert Loggia. You
Hmm.
like pornos? I love him. God, I love that movie. I gotta watch that again. And I just watched it like 3 months ago. I'll watch it again. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should rewatch it now. And then we're talking about it. Really great Patricia Arquette also in that movie.
Oh my God, I love her.
Um, yeah, yeah, she's really terrific in that, and
Pullman, come on.
I feel for her when what's his face asks her point blank like, "Oh, we just got news
Oh
David
my
Lynch died."
God.
I'm sorry, I just want to complain about
Yeah.
that for a
What a
second because
dick.
that was
Asshole.
so badly handled. Did any of you work
So
with him?
badly handled. So badly handled.
So
You'd think the
disrespectful.
producer would be like, your guest worked with him. Don't ask the question. And I gasped when he announced that and everyone turned their heads and looked at her. And then I started to get really sad because you saw in that clip of the interview with Patricia Arquette, Christopher Walken just looking devastated. Like he looked so sad to have just learned that. And God, I feel bad for him.
Yeah. I mean that, you know, horribly, horribly handled. Those people should be reprimanded,
Oh
frankly.
yeah.
Um,
Straight to jail.
yeah, straight to jail. Absolutely. They should go to real prison, not movie jail,
Not
real
movie jail,
prison,
actual jail.
actual jail. Um,
Actual jail.
but it does like that sort of communal devastation from all those people who many did not work with him. You know, it speaks volumes about how well respected he was in this
Yeah.
industry, and he didn't make tons of movies. He only
Yeah, and a lot
made
of people who didn't work with him still knew him and were friends with him,
hmm
which is always a nice thing to know. Like,
yeah.
oh, I never got to work with him, but I knew him,
hmm
Yeah.
And
which is
like,
kind of beautiful.
yeah, and especially in times when we're finding out like, oh yeah, that person was actually not great for
Right.
reasons. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, David Lynch just has all these stories about people coming out and being like, oh, it was this life-changing experience I had with him, and then we didn't see each other for however long, or like Laura Dern coming out with something that'll make you cry. Kyle MacLachlan, of course, making everyone cry.
Kale!
Just yeah,
Kale!
Kale. Excuse me. Yeah, his Kale.
Kale!
Yeah.
His Kale. Everyone go look up. Just look up stuff with David Lynch and Kyle MacLachlan, and then eventually you'll discover
Yes.
why he's called Kale. We're not going to get into that, but it's beautiful and
The
lovely.
story of why he calls him Kale is so good, though.
It's
Hmm.
so funny. Yeah. Um, all that stuff is terrific, and yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, who has said he basically owes his career to David Lynch for plucking him into
Oh, yeah.
Dune, his worst received film ever.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, but they bonded and they became friends, and that
Yeah,
pairing of actor and directors
it's
is
because of
so
Lynch that we have him. It's because of Lynch that we have Laura Dern, basically. I mean,
yeah,
she blew up when she worked with him, and she always went back and worked with him again and again and again. They were cinematic soulmates.
yeah. I don't remember if I knew that she was in The Return before I saw it because I was just like, Twin Peaks is officially back. That's all I need, right? Like
I remember
that was
she
all I
was
needed.
rumored. She was rumored, but no one knew who the hell she was going to be.
And it was perfect. Having her
Knocked it
be
out of the
Diane was
park.
perfect.
Knocked it out of the park, David.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to your Dark Tower thesis about Twin Peaks, like that is a
Hmm.
perfect example of all that connecting
Yup.
metatextually and textually.
Yup.
You know, it was just that was my Avengers Endgame moment when she pops up on screen for the first time as Diane. That was
God,
for me. Um,
I love the
and
return
there
so
there were
much.
still a lot of projects that David Lynch couldn't get off the ground, and I
Mm.
didn't
Yeah.
appreciate when certain we don't need to get into this either. I didn't appreciate when certain production companies or producers were like, well, we were ready to work with them. It's like, no, you weren't.
No, you
Don't
weren't.
do that. Don't be
You would
gross.
have bankrolled that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
would
you
have
would have you
bankrolled
would
it, and we would have had it years ago. So just
yeah
shut your mouth and stop.
yeah.
No one
Don't
wants
do
you
that.
here.
Yes, exactly. One of the last things David Lynch did do was at Netflix that short film with the talking monkey. What did Jack
Yeah.
do?
What did
Yes.
Jack do?
Which is
So much
delightful.
fun.
It
It's
is
yes, it's a
so
delight.
good. Yes, people I think should be talking about that all the time, just like the rest of
Yes.
his work. Um, but are there any
What a hoot.
projects?
What a
It's
hoot.
fun.
It was yeah, exactly. It was so much fun. It's a hoot. But are there any other projects that you guys heard about that was like, oh, I would have liked to have seen that. Like obviously want to see all of them, but there any you guys want to like point out as we start winding down our
Yeah, yeah.
tribute to David Lynch? Um,
Um, I'll go with just to be like, I really want to know what that would have been like because it was probably never going to happen, but his Return of the Jedi, his
oh
Return of the Jedi
yeah, I
would
mean
have been
the David
insane.
Lynch Return of the Jedi would have
Didn't
been
get like what the Wookiees were or something, or the Ewoks. What was it?
yeah yeah
They,
it is funny
Except
that
George Lucas did give him a migraine, so he's like, I don't want to do this.
yeah
You're
it,
giving
it
me a
is
headache,
funny.
George.
It's funny that he goes off and does Dune instead, but it is
Yeah.
like, yeah, like if it's not his thing, it's not his thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, maybe he was better off. I don't know. Star Wars is not so great nowadays.
no, they just had two shows I liked back to back for the first time
Oh,
ever.
okay.
So I'm
All
gonna
right.
I'm gonna be the Star Wars defender, but we're not here to
All
talk
right.
about Star Wars at the David
Yeah.
Lynch episode. I'll also be, I mean,
What's
Matt
a
and I are
Wookiee?
the Dune defenders
Hmm.
on this podcast.
It's
I
like,
So
mean,
what's an Ewok?
every time I wake up from a nap, I say the sleeper has awakened.
beautiful.
It's become like a mantra when I wake up in the morning, in the afternoon. Carlo rolls his eyes. It's
Hmm.
great.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Has Carlos seen it? Have you watched it with him?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, that's a movie.
Yeah.
He saw it after he saw the new ones.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Mhm.
And he was laughing at the guy playing Duncan Idaho. He's like, that's Duncan? That's supposed to be
Patrick
him?
Stewart.
He's like, I could knock this guy over with my pinky. That's not Duncan Idaho. What is this?
Yeah.
As for me with unrealized projects, as Ronnie Rocket,
Hmm.
he tried getting that off the ground for about 15 years and never did, for one reason or another. But, he worked ideas from that into Twin Peaks and The Return, which I appreciate. So we got to see a little bit of it, with the other dimensions and all that. And yeah, that would have been pretty awesome.
Yeah. Ronnie Rocket is the one I was gonna mention. I'll name some more just that are listed
Yeah,
because there's a whole page of them. That's how many. That's
yeah.
always I think sad, but also kind of fun to kind of like excavate later,
What
like
could
John
have
Carpenter
been?
has. Yeah,
Yeah,
what could have
yeah, yeah.
been. The Ronnie Rocket script is also available online, by the way, just for people to check out. I would recommend it. It is quite the read, I will say.
Okay.
Um,
I've
something
just read
called.
about it. I haven't read the screenplay. I got to read
Oh,
that.
okay. When we're done, I'll email the script if you want it.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. Something called Garden Back. This is like even before Eraserhead. It was gonna be like
Wow.
a surrealist script about adultery, featuring a continually growing insect that represented one man's lust for his neighbor.
I thought you said reprimanded. He reprimands his neighbor as a giant bug.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Something called "I'll Test My Log with Every Branch of Knowledge," which is, of course, Catherine A. Coulson, the late great Catherine A. Coulson, R.I.P., the log lady from Twin Peaks, right?
Worked with
And
him for years.
yeah, and I
Years.
guess
Was married to Jack Nance
yeah,
uh during the filming of Eraserhead.
yeah. So this would have been like an idea for like a half-hour TV show,
I
and
would
it's
have
just
watched it. Sure.
yeah, yeah, the log
Yeah.
lady spinoff,
Oh my
Hmm.
God.
the
Yes.
franchise potential of Twin Peaks.
Her and
Um,
Hawk becoming best friends. Like, yeah, I love that.
oh
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, that's that's really sweet. Lynch almost did a Red Dragon, which becomes Michael Mann's Manhunter.
Hmm.
Damn.
Yeah. Now, obviously,
That that would have
look,
been interesting.
it would have been
That would
interesting.
have
It would have been interesting.
strong as
Yeah. Manhunter is perfect,
would
but
he
there
have
is.
used the band though? Would he have used the band that does the
I
song
think he
in the
would have
movie?
used Toto.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yes.
because Toto's Dune score, I think is incredible.
It
Like, I'm
It's
not
rips.
true,
even
yeah.
joking.
It
It's
rips.
yeah, I think it's so good. He was in talks to do the original Dune Messiah, but then they
Yeah.
do Dune, and they're like, oh, we can't do this.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
didn't work for anybody.
We're
So
done.
yeah, well, I didn't know this, but I guess a
Which
partial
also
script of it exists.
with Dune failing, the fact that Dino De Laurentiis still let him make Blue Velvet, that's a
Yeah,
beautiful thing. Like
Well,
you just lost Dino so much money with Dune, except he still believes in you. And he's
yeah.
still going, no, 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 I'm gonna produce your next film. Let's go. It's not gonna be Dune. It's gonna be your own thing. But let's do it.
yeah. Blue Velvet's usually the movie you get after Dune's a success. So
Hmm.
Yes.
that's yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Miracle.
and I remember like in early interviews I looked up with for Lynch like years and years ago, like he like one of the few times he openly talked about Dune, and he was like, "Look, I knew how Dino worked. I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I just didn't have final cut, and we couldn't get everything I wanted for that movie to work. But he let me do Blue Velvet after, and it's like that just like doesn't happen. So
No, not at all.
that's incredible. That's just the magic of
Yeah.
David Lynch,
Hmm.
you know. There was a movie called One Saliva Bubble, which I had heard about, but I had never really read too much about. Um, Steve Martin was attached to star at one point, and Martin Short was almost rumored to like take over when he
Oh my
couldn't
God.
do it or like whatever, or
So
when the movie was falling apart.
he was gonna make a movie with one of two of the funniest people on Earth.
Yes.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason this one didn't happen is because Dino, our boy, was facing
Yeah.
bankruptcy, and
Hmm.
eventually
Yeah, yeah. That'll happen.
his company does fall apart at a certain point. So,
Yeah.
you know, and there's so many. There was like a Twin Peaks spinoff. There was Firewalk with Me sequel ideas, which those kind of just get melded into what the return comes
This is her
to.
return, yeah.
Mulholland Drive, many people know it was going to be a TV show that was a
Yeah.
pilot initially and just reworked into a feature film.
Yep.
What a fucking pilot, by the way. I don't even know why you like, even in like a
Yeah.
half-finished form. I don't know how that becomes a TV show, but if anyone could have done it, it would have been David Lynch.
Honestly, it's a miracle Twin Peaks worked out the way it did. I mean,
Yeah.
for its time, that is way ahead of its time. For anything on television, even today. Like that first season is astounding.
Yeah.
You
And
can't do that on TV these days. If you try, they kill you.
yeah.
Hmm.
You can't compose images like that, and you can't let tonal consistency
Yeah, and the
guide the
fact that it
narrative.
aired on ABC is insane to me.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, I'll go even further. Even the narrative structure of it, how every episode was a day in the life of Twin
Yeah.
Hmm.
Peaks, that feels like something that gets cut out of your series now, like immediately,
Oh,
you
without a
know,
doubt. Yeah.
unless it's like a mini series,
Yeah.
because then you can do like a 7 episode thing because these
Yeah.
producers really love they get their jollies off on 6 episode miniseries. Um,
Yeah.
Hmm.
you know, or like if you do like a long running series, like maybe there's like a 3 episode arc where like every episode is like a day,
Yeah.
but you can't do a whole show like that anymore. And it's like, I don't know why not, but you just can't.
Yeah.
He did it already. And, he was seeing the future basically, or maybe not the future. Maybe he was just seeing
A
the
possibility.
truth, the possibilities. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
And the beauty of them. Um, what legacy do you guys think David Lynch leaves behind
Hmm.
for cinema?
Definitely like influenced a lot of other filmmakers or just kind of created such a like passionate fan base too. The fact, so many people posted about him passing away or talking about it is like really, heartwarming. And yeah, he just really left like just an impression on people that love movies. And, his movies were also kind of commercial, but they weren't. I mean, they reach so many people, and these are like surreal, for the most part, like surreal kind of movies, and it's just really, really sweet that that managed to like captivate all these different types of people in the audience, I would say.
Well, I would say he's America's greatest surrealist, and
Hmm.
that's gonna continue to be the case for many, many years. You're never gonna get another David Lynch.
No.
So many filmmakers try and fail at trying to make something akin to Lynch, and it just doesn't work for me personally. I don't think that anything that's been described as Lynchian really works in any true way. You're never going to get another one like him. He is the supreme cinematic surrealist that this country has produced, and you're just not going to replace him. You're never going to have another person like him in Hollywood, at least, making the type of art that not only connects with his niche audience, but everyone's heard of him. That's not going to happen again. Like, you're not going to have that type of artist make it big and
Yeah.
become an icon in and of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, um, yeah, he's certainly America's foremost realist. I didn't really consider calling him this until recently, especially in light of his passing, but I do think he is arguably the greatest American artist ever. Like
Yeah.
I think he is arguably the greatest artist this country has produced. Um, I maybe like I don't know if he's my favorite, but he is among my favorites and certainly among the greats. Again, if not the greatest, but certainly someone who helped me see the world differently. And I'm always
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
appreciate that. And he remains an inspiration, personally, creatively, in my relationships in life. And yeah, I mean, we were so lucky to have him for as long as we did. And uh, I mean, the amount of people I've met just through the sheer community of his works, you
Hmm.
know, that I've talked to. I mean, Matt, how many times did
I
we
mean,
like just talk randomly on Twitter, like, oh man, this thing about David, like this Twin
yeah,
Peaks
I
thing, this
mean,
Yeah.
Blue Velvet, how many other people like
there are
we
some,
can see them all in our heads. We can't even name all of them who
yeah,
we've geeked
David
out about
Lynch
David
is the
Lynch with.
reason I have a ton of my friends. Like, Twin Peaks connected so many people. And you don't have to love everything about it, but if you appreciate that show, I probably have something in common with you.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. If someone appreciates Twin Peaks, we appreciate them.
Yeah. If you like Twin Peaks and you like coffee, I'll be your friend.
Yeah. Or as David Lynch said, Twin Peaks people are party people.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on the late, the great, the effervescent David Lynch?
David, thank you. Basically, I mean, I wrote this the other day, but think of David every time you sip your coffee. He won't be very far. Like, just keep him with you. Keep him in that cup of coffee. Keep him in that slice of pie. Doesn't need to be cherry pie. It could be any type of pie that you enjoy. Just give him a thought every once in a while, and he will never be far.
Hmm.
And thanks for everything you ever gave us, man.
Yeah, thank you, David Lynch. And to all artists that do want to be either the next David Lynch or like striving for something similar, I think the most important thing to also take away from his works is that he was true to himself, and I think
Hmm.
that's really what people should be. You're not going to be David Lynch, but you could be someone
You?
talented alongside his
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
So stay true to yourself. That I think that's the ultimate. goal in life because
Yeah.
he was there was none like him,
Nope.
not a single person like David Lynch. So,
No. Ah, bless him.
yeah. uh, anything else, Gene? Or
No,
we
no,
good?
just gonna miss him. Just gonna, wish he could have gotten like one more film or something. But yeah,
But
Yeah.
honestly, The Return is a great thing to end on.
it's a good
Oh
send
yeah,
off.
no,
Yeah,
Good Lord.
we didn't even know.
yeah. I mean, that's fucking
I mean, you go out with your magnum opus. I mean,
yeah. It's a
our
hell of a
artists
one to
dream
wrap it
of
up with.
that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. People wish they could end with something a quarter as good as that
Yeah.
movie or
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
series, which is, debatable whether or not it's a movie. I don't care.
No, let's not do
Whatever.
this.
No, 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 no. Whatever. It's what it is incredible,
Yes.
and we thank him for it.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Gene and I stuff's down below. But Matt,
Mhm.
where can people find you? And thank you very much for joining us on
Hey,
this
this
very
was a
special
Yeah.
pleasure.
episode.
Thank you,
I
Matt.
love hanging out with you guys. For
Oh,
me,
thank you.
you can find me anywhere on the internet at the real Matt C. I'm over there on Letterboxd and Twitter and Blue Sky and everything. I'm the real Matt C. You can find me there and check out my musings.
Oh.
You can also listen to my podcast, Monsters Never Die, which we're coming off our hiatus next month with, I believe, we're doing for Valentine's Day, Silence of the Lambs. We're going to be doing the Hannibal Lecter series. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, looking
Very
forward to
exciting.
that. And
Yeah.
for the record, we love hanging out with you too. So
Yeah.
please come back. We'll have to bring you back
Hey.
again later this year.
Yes.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Gene and I gotta plot out some more guests to go over at a later point. But yeah, definitely always welcome, my friend. I gotta head to New York to meet you in person as well at some point.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
But until then, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.